Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be taking you through a very important topic, setting ambitious or realistic timeline for full dissertation research. My name is Omodolapo Ojo. I'm a data analytics, research, and evaluation specialist at McDowell Consulting LLC. And the video you're about to experience is actually a glimpse into my own personal doctoral journey, how I navigated through the different phases of my dissertation, from setting ambitious timelines as a novice to refining them with the wisdom of experience. So this journey actually reflects my growth in learning to set goals, not out of convenience, but with intention, ensuring each milestone was given just enough time to be meaningfully completed. So, my original dissertation timeline, as you can see, looks very ambitious and highly optimistic. So my first attempt at mapping out the entire dissertation process truly um, was ambitious, but at least it fits a starting point. So to me, this was the timeline I thought that I could follow before reality hit hard on me. And as you can see, it was very ambitious. So I plan to submit a revised chapter um, by May 17, 2024. I plan to get my revised chapter 2 by May 31st, 2024. By June 21st, I was supposed to have my interview protocol and survey instrument finalized, after all the back and forth revision. Then by June 28th, 2024, I hope to submit the full proposal. So chapter 1 through chapter 3, all along with my dissertation tools. In fact, I even scheduled the presentation slides for June 30th, 2024. And this is actually my proposal section. So this was a timeline for that. Then for the full dissertation itself, I gave myself until mid of August to finish data collection, then only about a week to analyze and write up the findings. How possible is that? Then my chapter 4, I was supposed to be done by August 31st, 2024. Then I plan to draft all my interpretation and conclusion by September 13th and submit chapter 5 by the end of September 2024. Finally, the complete revised dissertation, chapter 1 through to 5 by October 4th, right? Then followed by my presentation slide on October 11th. You know, initially, I protected this schedule for proposal and dissertation completion because I wanted to be part of December 2024 graduation, which didn't happen. So looking back, this timeline was really optimistic, but at least it was my starting point. So next, now this is actually the reality check, the actual proposal development. So as you can see, it took longer than expected, right? So, and right from the proposal development, from my committee formation, even to my candidacy. So the real progression of the proposal was much slower, but steady and necessary. Truly, this is an indication that dissertation timelines also, you know, everything is not linear. So this is how mine unfolded in reality. So this is what actually happened with my proposal. So as you can see, the timeline stretched out quite a bit compared to my original plan. So I started by constituting my committee, well, far back in November 2022. And they approved my topic shortly after December, and the comprehensive exam took a few months, including writing and oral defenses. And even I had a rewrite and another oral defense, which really tested my patience. Meanwhile, as you can see, my proposal development started, early 2023. That means from March 2023 and all the way through to mid November 2024, right? So yes, up to July 2024. During that time, I also developed my survey instruments, prepared my interview questionnaire, as you can see it here. So I wasn't just focused on that alone. And I also, started applying for IRB at that same time. So the proposal defense and candidacy application has finally happened, you know, so early for me. And as at October 2024, I already had that candidacy sorted out already. But every of these things actually spelled out that indeed this dissertation, compared to my first timeline, which was extremely ambitious, this really taught me that these steps naturally took longer and require persistence. The key was just for me to stay consistent and not get discouraged, even while things stretched out over many months. And so now I want to take you to the post-proposal, which is actually my dissertation timeline from data collection to final submission and graduation. So I adjusted the timeline actually based on the realization and based on the lessons that I learned from my proposal that dissertation work really isn't linear and it doesn't really follow any deadlines at the beginning. So there were some things that I postponed a time and I actually accomplished them before that time. So setting that time ahead was very important for me. So this slide actually shows my actual timeline, right? From my completing the final phase of my dissertation. So the entire period spanned between September 2024 to May 2025, ending with my graduation. So once my proposal was approved, I immediately began data collection, and that spanned between September through to November 2024. During November, I prepared for analysis by reviewing my research framework, cleaning both the quantitative and qualitative data, conducting the analysis, and meeting with my supervisor for check-ins. So earlier in the process, that same November, if you look at this place here, November 27, I actually fixed the official date for my final dissertation proposal. So this helped me structure the remaining part of my work. So again, back to the line of how things were arranged. So in December 14, I actually shared my chapter 4 at that time. So on December 16, after I completed my chapter 4 on December 14, shared with my supervisor on December 16, I incorporated all the feedback he gave by December 21. So in January 2025, I completed and submitted chapter 5, and I finished in January 11, shared by January 13, finalized, and everything was actually finalized for me in January 18, 2025. So that same month, I revised my earlier chapters. Chapter 1 was rewritten on January 25, shared on January 27, finalized by January 31st. So in February, I completed the remaining revision. So chapter 1 by itself was written on January 25, shared on January 27. So chapter 3 was rewritten in February, as you can see here, February 17, and shared February 21 and finalized in February 23. So I then compiled all the chapters and shared the full draft with my supervisor on February 24, incorporating feedback by February 26. So I shared the full dissertation with the committee on February 28, 2025. You see? So as I approached the defense, so I actually prepared my slide and completed them and even did the oral defense on March 3rd. Although I only said I was going to prepare slide, but things got faster. I needed to actually meet up with some deadline. So this meant that I finished the major milestone ahead of the original fixed schedule, right? Because I actually fixed my final oral defense for March 14th, but in actual sense, I did it March 3rd, 2025. So, however, After the defense, I incorporated all the feedback by March 2021. March 21, then shared the corrected version again with my supervisor on March 24th for a final look. Then I submitted the complete dissertation and paperwork to the graduate school on March 28, 2025. Following this, I confirmed my graduation ceremony attendance on April 10th. And finally, I graduated, yay, in March 2025, in May 2025, sorry. So overall, this timeline captures the full progression of my dissertation journey from data collection to final submission and, completed within the broader period of September 2024 to May 2025, and even with several stages completed earlier than the original schedule time. So, what exactly are the summary and lessons that I really want you to take from this video? So the first is, this video, as you can see, is about the complete picture of my dissertation journey from the moment my committee was constituted in November 2022, all the way to my graduation in May 2025. So one important lesson is this. In this journey, I learned, and I'm sharing with people, of the need to build in flexibility. As opposed to rushing through each chapter, one should shift focus to building in flexibility and adding extra time for revision, feedback loops, and unexpected delays, because there are always unexpected delays that you would not really have in mind that will come up. Then at the same time, taking overlapping tasks. So one thing I did was I tried to multitask. Like while I was drafting some sections or while I was waiting for committee feedback, I was using the opportunity sometimes to prepare my instrument and completing other major tasks. So that multitasking is very important, especially when you are waiting for a decision or when you're waiting for a particular process to be completed. Another thing is this: allocate time proportionately. For instance, recognizing that your data collection could take much longer than you expected, your IRB processes could take much longer than you expected. In my first timeline, I gave myself just a few weeks. But in reality, I learned to plan months ahead, especially when the multiple approvals and revisions were involved. For instance, my IRB actually did an international research, focused on the US and Nigeria. And that took a while of back and forth, just ensuring that I comply with what the rules and regulation is about engaging in international research. So prepare for most comprehensive and demanding phase of your dissertation. So as you see in my final timeline, you realize that the final sprint of this dissertation journey was dense. A lot of things actually was happening towards the end, tightly sequenced and often more intense even than the data collection and writing phases. And you don't want to slow down at the end. The pace actually accelerates. So you have to be prepared emotionally and logistically for such is in your journey. Then another thing is guiding against self-imposed pressure. So one thing that I've learned and I also like to share with people is that timeline, creating schedule represents a more realistic, sustainable approach. So when you have a scheduled timeline, it helps you pace yourself. It reduces stress and keeps you motivated, even without feeling like you are constantly behind. Because sometimes doctoral research makes you feel like, oh, I haven't done anything. But when you have a timeline, you know that, okay, even if you are not making much progress, you're still within your time. Then another lesson that I want you to take away from this video is expect feedback cycles could take time and it could be multiples, right? And each revision sometimes doesn't just take time that maybe quite few or little time. It takes a lot of time sometimes. So creating new work for you, new deadlines, and new dependencies. So building in generous time for your iterative feedback is very, very essential. Then knowing that analytical work demands mental transition, not just time blocks. So for instance, I did a mixed method research, a quantitative and qualitative strand. So that means sometimes the way you're thinking about your qualitative research is quite different from the way you think about your quantitative research. And apart from that, different sections of your dissertation requires sometimes different way of thinking and approach to things. So in that way, each shift between tasks requires a different cognitive mode. So Progress isn't just about scheduling days on your calendar. It's also about giving yourself that mental space to switch from analytic work to writing, or from big picture conceptualizing to detail edit. So all of these things are very important, right? Then writing the findings before revising earlier chapter improve coherence. So some of us, you may want to say, oh, I really want to make sure that my chapter 1 to 3 is finalized. I don't have to edit again. I have to just proceed. No, the idea about this thing is completing your result. Go to your result section, finish up with that, right? Then you can now go back to your earlier chapter to edit, just making sure that there is seamless alignment with your findings, and instead of, assuming. So this reverse order writing dramatically improves cohesion for a doctoral student. Another thing is administrative milestones. They are not just ordinary administrative work. They are as crucial as your academic ones. So these administrative steps like fixing the presentation dates, months, earlier, managing committee schedules, and so on, they shape the entire reading of your dissertation. So planning around institutional calendars, supervisor availability, and other bureaucratic requirements is just as important as the research itself. Then another lesson is keep it simple. Save your energy for the real work. What do I mean by that? So I've seen people build some sophisticated time and schedule trackers for the citation work. I'm like, come on, focus on practical tools that save time and mental energy so that you can devote more effort to the citation itself. For instance, a simple Excel sheet like I used with color coding works just as well. That is easy for you to manage. You can even print it out and display it on your board. And instantly you see how you're making progress instead of taking too much of your time developing a tracker, something that you should have used to do the research by itself. Then avoid distractions. Utilize AI and do what works best for you. So one thing I keep telling people is this: avoid social media interaction. Honestly, you can't be so active on social media and make a lot of progress with research. Those two cannot work together. Then learn to utilize your best time. Some of us, we work very well in the morning, much more than when we work in the afternoon, in the evening. So what do? Make sure that your morning time is the time you fix for your research work to make a great advancement with it. Then use AI or technology as appropriate, and have community aside committee, to check your work and get encouragement from them. People that are in your courts, they are doing the citation work together. Learn to exchange ideas with these people just to help yourself stay motivated and stay encouraged. Then at the same time, you've got to sacrifice some enjoyment and sleep for your dissertation work to make progress. That self-sacrifice is just very important. Then at times too, it's good to just stay away from all of this work when thinking becomes so difficult. When it's so difficult for you to think, you're just frustrated, you don't know what to do again, leave it and take a time, take a break and come back again. And you'll find that you can actually progress with your work. So with this, I've come to the end of this video, and I do appreciate you for waiting this time to actually gain from this video. I hope you learn, and I also encourage you to share with other people out there that you think will be very helpful, sharing with this information with them. And for further information or contact, please reach out to me at maldorconsulting@gmail.com, or go to our website at www.maldorconsultingllc.org. Thank you and bye.